Hello. I figured it was time with a video that kind of explained a few things before I go public, because turns out people are silent about things that they should have been vocal about when they felt what they felt, and not bomb people out of nowhere when they're surprised about what happens. I'm often criticized for talking obscurely, for talking mystically, for seeming like I'm talking about something, but I'm not talking about something, you know? And often I am. Because of this. Because of that. People thought that I was living the best life on a yacht somewhere, or having a fire every day, living life, because they had an experience where that was the everyday. But that is work, often. And sometimes in my life, work and private blend, so that it's very hard to separate. And that has been a fucking challenge, both personally and professionally. But we're getting there. I just had to isolate myself for a long time because everything happened at once. Yeah, I've been having people coming at me with messages, and then not getting the response they wanted within the time frame they expected, to then just toss out another message that kind of fuels that fire, to then just come to a place where you just snap and you unload everything. In these cases, when I don't respond, it's usually because I haven't even noticed it. I could have been dead as well. Like, what if I was just lying in the ditch somewhere and everything that people saw online was just a AI tool that was auto-posting things based on a knowledge base or whatever, because it is possible today. Fuck, for all you know, this is not even me. I've been dealing with shit lately that I didn't even think I had to contemplate. Have you tried to teach someone how to think? Or teach someone how to remember? It's been requiring some different thoughts. But there I am. I'm trying to kind of figure out the thing that I have been experiencing, and trying to do so alone, mostly, until people just fell into my door. Some people even broke through the fucking door. Literally. And these are the things I have on tape, and that's the thing that boggles me. You know, people hear about kids being put in a situation that robbed them of something in life. Robbed them of innocence because they experienced evil, basically. And then the whole aftermath of that, legally, contextually, with people around here, the whole fucking thing was based on the exact same thing I'm talking about, where people act out of a narrative they have in their head, and that has been boiling over for a long time without talking to the person that it is about, and then just unleashing it all. Like, what the fuck? That's not cool. And that's been my point. Like, ever since that happened, I've been just closing doors, not responding, because every single response had a counter response based on the narrative of the other side. And oftentimes that was a misunderstood narrative because they didn't see the whole picture, because I couldn't say the things I needed to say. 3 days ago, that court case was up. Like, the court date arrived for the whole neighborly violence and the traumatized kids and the landlord that was tossed and all the things that has just been happening on a personal basis on the property. Real time, every day, every fucking day. And people just assume that, nah, he's not talking about anything being wrong. People usually just talk about the problems, and because of that, they assume that everything has just been dandelions and rainbow farts. But it hasn't. Honestly, it's been quite taxing. And in all this, there has been a few legal battles that was just unnecessary. On many fronts. And I'm not even talking about the legal court case 3 days ago, because the day before, the night before I had this on tape, I was called up by the court saying, you don't have to meet tomorrow. There's no need for you to attend. And I asked, but why? I was kind of the main victim in this case. The video that I sent you kind of proved that. And then she's like, yes, but the video tells it all. That was a fragment of a story that has been developing over fucking months, and my family has been ripped apart to shreds. And you say that you got the full story from 4 minutes of intense chaos? I was calmer in the video where I was attacked than I was inside of me when she said that. So there's a lot of things that has been processing in my mind, and it has been going on for a long time. And also 3 days ago, because coincidentally this date happened on the same date that I was supposed to take over a contract for a physical storefront in another county, or not a county, another town, where the first physical Legacy Forge hub thing, AI innovation studio, whatever, was supposed to be done in April. Things have been postponed, things have been taking place, and I have been trying to juggle all of this at the same time, and I have not even scratched the very surface of what's going on. So my theory was that if I was to talk about the things that happens in my daily life to people who are living a comfortable, routine-based life, then that will overload their system because it's too much. And they assume everything is good when people don't talk about the actual challenges, and then all hell breaks loose. It's insane. But then again, in the vacuum, truths are spoken that just clarifies the whole thing. And I'm like, right now, I need to focus on doing this thing so that I can finally get across that threshold. One thing that is kind of affecting everything in my life, and I have to be psychotically fucking focused on it. And that, in that process, brings up a whole fucking lot of truths from other people who have their own stories. And when I am done with the thing that I had to focus on and come back out, kind of attacked for having to focus on yourself. That is taxing, to be honest. That is taxing. Last few months I've been just sitting here at Death's waiting room, and people have been fibbing out about that name as well. For God's sakes, people, this place was a psychiatric hospital back in the 60s or something. And it was called Death's Waiting Room by the public community, like the townspeople. All I did was just remind people that this was different before, you know? And now it's a fucking modern, psychedelic, freaking... It's different now. It's the same thing. It's for psychedelic health, psychiatric hospital-ish, but with more insights and more modern technology and experience and all that stuff. So instead of a lobotomy these days, you can have a fire and a magic mushroom and sometimes get better off by the fire. That's not the point. The point is that I am dealing with a few things that most people don't have to deal with, right? For instance, today I submitted a list of 14 questions that is about ego death. And in that, they say that their community, which is the mainstream community, don't really talk about ego death a whole bunch. And I'm like, that makes sense. That's logical. Because if you have psychedelic experience and other people that basically see from the other side do not have psychedelic experience, there is a freaking void there that is impossible to bridge. Yeah. That has been the conclusion. That has been the scientific facts now, because it was mentioned yesterday that this is more or less the root of all evil. It is the confusion that happens when people have different psychedelic experiences, or none, and then trying to teach or preach to people who have that experience. And then they get really pissed when they don't get what they want in terms of the response. See, this is part of a bigger problem. It's part of a whole fucking pattern. I'm going to talk about the Wounded Prince now a little bit. For some people in the Legacy Forge, they know who the Wounded Prince is. It's a very specific person. He came in And now I can be creative again. Now I could do, for my business model, what I've always done, marketing reality and the horrifying nature of it in a light, fun way. I could have said that the wounded prince came in on Santa Claus fucking sled because I picked him up on the train station the day after Christmas, where he came directly from Bangkok, Asia, where he was living a life that most people can't even fucking imagine. Because they haven't gone into the things that we can do online. So basically, he was traveling the world, he was doing a whole bunch of stuff, and then he came to me, and he was there for a few months, and we did a whole bunch of experiments together, lots of talks, lots of working together. He slept in my daughter's bed when she was not under the same roof, and he smoked my weed and ate my food and was very, very, very deep into the Legacy Forge saga, Legacy Digital, and a whole bunch of things. And then there were a few drop-off periods during this, because we were talking about years. Long story short, the wounded prince, who's now ruling this sauna empire on the west coast of Norway, has left the person that he dropped off the Legacy Forge with. This person who was taken in as a space holder, a community leader, a facilitator of these experiences, these spaces. Now, the wounded prince was wounded. Still is. And that ended up in him abandoning his family, his newborn daughter, which, when he was at my place, was basically his life dream, to have that, to be a father. Now, with the wounded prince travels a companion, the former chef of the king of Norway. Not shitting you. I'm not shitting you. This is where people drop off, because I talk to people who have different life experiences. Some people have owned yoga studios, some people have cooked for royalty, and some people are both. I have not found a label for this character, but basically he travels with the wounded prince, and he shares the same pattern. Now I could go creative again, and it would still just be fucking literally what it is, a name. That is so, like, if I hadn't said it right now, you would have thought that I was way off. But basically, he left his child, same pattern as the wounded prince, who's now left his child and has found his new love of his life very shortly after, who has 3 kids from before. So basically swapping out the baby part for the other part. That's what it could seem like from the outside, right? For me, who didn't speak to the wounded prince, since I was delivering a car on behalf of a dragon shaman from the White Temple of the North, who was basically involved with a few shady people. Not even shady. They are probably more, aligned than most other people, but I can't really say more than that. Other than the reindeer could have been involved. I was delivering this car. Fantastic fucking car. A Jeep Sahara. It was black. It was a dragon car. Fuck, I love that car. But long story short, I was driving into the mystery part of a murder mystery, and in that session, there was a conversation going on the Legacy Forge internal team channels. And this was spiraling, because the shaman was making everyone a little bit uncomfortable. He was a bit arrogant and ignorant, or he was just very attuned to things that the people he talked to didn't pick up. He did have powers. Like, this dude was impressive, and it's a whole saga in itself to talk about that period. But long story short, there was a fallout within the community, which led to a lot of unnecessary shit. And I was already juggling quite a lot. So at this point, when the wounded prince just disappeared from my life, it felt like having a huge fucking dagger of the Japanese fashion just put into the back. And then he left, leaving this vacuum and this hole, this crater actually, to be filled by the person who tried to help him, and then all that. I have conversations around the fire often, and many of these are recorded. And I have a lot of words that is said by the wounded prince that so far I am the only one who has heard beside him when he said it. And I doubt he remembers saying it. The point is, I used a fragment of what I have on tape on a video that was about the Legacy game back then. It was like a ladder game, is what the Wounded Prince said on this tape, and he was talking to a friend of mine in Taipei, who I hope is going to visit me in Norway soon, if you're watching this. But he was talking to my friend about this ladder game, that I had basically put down a ladder for him to climb, and then he will put down ladders for people following him, and just helping people to the next threshold, basically, and just showing the light in the dark, whatever it is, helping people. And I did, for a long time, for no fucking money at all. I was paid 5,000 crowns for Ragnarok for 1 month. And but then he stopped that, because he didn't find the value of it. And then he has been given lifetime licenses that I paid tens of thousands for, and been using this to make his own money and screwing over. I would say that screwing over is the wrong term, because he did do his best, but he was doing it by himself, using what had been my tool of the trade for many years. And I had shown him the basics, and then he kind of, under the name of the Legacy Forge, delivered a product to a client and took the whole thing for himself. Moved up to the east again and started having orgies regularly, and there was a lot happening in that period. And then he met some other people who got an idea for him, and he started to trail off on that instead, leaving me again kind of in the boat with the oars. And he just, I'm just gonna see if there's some water on this island, whatever it is. I felt abandoned again. And then he came back. The Wounded Prince is a good guitar player, and he played some tunes. And one of these tunes was how he had jumped out, and he was basically a little suicidal. That's kind of the issue, because I felt obligated to kind of take him back into the fold, because it was bad. And I think I have that song somewhere where he's basically singing about the things that he realized. And then, you know, back in the fire circle, we continue the work, and we talk and affect a lot of people in this work. We have a lot of people in the network. So he was all of a sudden friends with all my friends, and then all my friends stopped talking to me. And all of a sudden there was a lot of weird reactions, almost like people had been talking in closed doors without me present in the room, and then when I enter, they just dump it all, you know? But yeah, during this car drive where I was delivering the car, I was given word that he had to kind of leave, think about himself. It was rooted in energy. He couldn't be affiliated with the Legacy Forge in any way. Then he leaves. He moves in with the person that I brought into the Legacy Forge as the facilitator, and they form a relationship. He lives with her, gets her pregnant, and brings in his chaos from his life in with that, expecting her to kind of facilitate while she's being told to not see things, to be the problem, to be criticized. It's like all the time when people come back and they have been helped to a certain level, and then they just disregard everyone who got them there. You know, because my issue at that point was I didn't respond. Like, I don't engage in that fucking type of communication. I sent my thoughts after he said that he just left. And I said that I'm happy that you found the love of your life. And it was interesting to see how you reacted when I put out that video of you and you said, don't use my face to promote yourself in social media. It's like having a brother and then just, you know, turning around to be something completely different. And I have all these things on tape, and I was like, fucking hell. My own integrity is kind of fucking me over, because I can't share a lot of things in my head. But other people who have heard the story and then seen the tapes are like, but fucking hell. This is you basically sitting there on a nuclear bomb on a person who's running an empire and just in the name of not leaving anyone behind is basically doing, you know, all that stuff. And it's also tied to a whole bunch of other kind of different communities. Like the psychedelic community in Norway is very interesting if you start seeing how many people are actually engaged and facilitating ceremonies and doing things, often very ignorantly, serving people mushroom all over the fucking country and the world. I know this because I run a group with fucking mushroom enthusiasts of the 13,000 number size. So I see a lot. I hear a lot. People send a lot of messages. And because of that, I'm also kind of numb to getting communicated with on social media. Just take a note, because if you don't get a response, don't assume that you were the only person who sent the message that day. There might be a reason as to why I don't respond. And, of course, it would be better if you, instead of attack me when you come back from the silence, start by asking, "Are you okay? What happened, Tor?" You know, that would help. Because I do post for my own need of posting. I have been holding off on an announcement now for fucking days. I have so many things in my head that it is hard to categorize and put them into neat little boxes for people to understand. I'm so fucking done with making myself understood by people who have already decided a narrative that is nothing close to the truth. There is a little frustration. But I will not let it derail me. We're talking about psychedelics, weren't we not? We're talking about the fact that I have these channels and I have these networks and these things that happens every single fucking day. Like, it doesn't stop. Psychedelics never stops. If you have a group of 13,000 people and a lot of them are looking for answers, you would be shocked to see how few people actually go look for those answers. They expect to be confirmed to have the right answer already from people who know, and then they just assume that their time and everything is free, so they just get pissed at you if your answer goes against what they thought was correct from the beginning. This is about psychedelics. Like, if people are not within, if they don't have the experience, there is no need in trying to explain anything. They wouldn't understand without the experience. But here they are trying to get confirmation of answers that only is received through the experience from people with that experience, and then say, "No, you're correct. You're not right. You're wrong." You know, and that's stupid. So I don't engage. The point is, there's a lot of things happening in my life. A lot of things. And the biggest thing is the thing that I haven't talked about it at all. Because of everything. Like, because of everything that is included in that whole aspect of my life. As I said, I've been isolated. I've been voluntary celibate. That sucks. Have you seen my face? I have come to understand that I have had a completely different experience of life compared to what I could have had if I just trusted myself a little bit. Basically, I was voluntary celibate for a long time until I figured, you know what? Fuck it. No. Because I've been through a process. I haven't talked about this process at all because it's not any other people's business to hear anything about what happened. But through it, there were a lot of events. And after a while, we came to a place where just, you know what? I don't think this is going to work for either of us. So, a long process. Started to find a new balance without being to be you and 100% you. When I got out of a long relationship, I tried to figure out, what do I need? And for all the people who said, you do need to do what you need to do. Do what you need to do to feel good, like to be you. And I did. And it wasn't even remotely close to what people thought I was doing. I went to a BDSM club. I'm going to just be fucking frank right off the gate. Didn't have sex there. Didn't do anything sexually there. Ironic, isn't it? Wasn't there for any of the sexual parts. I was there for pure business reasons. I had found a community. I had found a secret community. And I have found some people that were quite open-minded. So I started to like to have my coffee in this club once a week. It was a perfect fucking pattern interrupt. But I couldn't talk about it to anyone because they would be all fucking, "Oh, you're there to have orgies and shit." No. I was there to just not be surrounded by closed-minded people who always criticize me for doing things weirdly. I have had a life that is not remotely similar to other people's lives. And I've come to realize that that has made me a little bit different. So I don't react the same way to certain situations. To sit there and find a calm in my body while drinking coffee, while in the background you hear, ah. The stories are telling themselves. Like, it's just giving me this good vibe. It gave me a whole new way of thinking. Just that one pattern interrupt during the week. To go to this club and have a coffee. Meet some cool people. Sometimes they were naked. Sometimes they were in lingerie. Sometimes they were just in normal clothes. You would be surprised how normal it was. But people have this association with certain words. That's why I break the ice. And then I've also been told that I should not care about what other people say or think about what I do. And then just be open about everything. And whenever I do, people have reactions. And then all of a sudden I get a message from some perspective or narrative or something that makes them think that it is about them. While in reality, there are so many things that happens all the time that I'm just trying to figure out. Sometimes in the dark, you know. But one night, someone came to Death's waiting room, and they were basically chased by the Spanish mafia. That was a eerily normal thing in my life at the point. Because I've been talking to so many people and been in so many different circles and have so many people in the network, and with my experience of the whole prison and all that stuff, I talk to people with experience probably differently than other people do. Most people with no life experience will criticize those who have had a bumpy life. So basically, I was able to hear about the different underground communities in the local community. Certain movements, certain people, certain things. Do you understand why you can't just talk about everything openly? And all of it was there was a pattern. It was kind of everywhere. And stuff started to happen with a neighbor in narcotics and alcohol-fused scenarios. Like if you are already struggling in life, you're at the bottom, and then trying to cope at the bottom. You're getting high and getting drunk to kind of just get by at this point. I can't blame people for that. Like, I see football moms. If you, actually, this is perfect. I've been recently introduced to Desperate Housewives, and it just tells the truth that I wasn't aware of before. Like, football moms taking their kids' medication, right? Or high-end oil workers doing cocaine to get through the day. Or people doing speed, amphetamines, to clean their house, just to get through the day. I have never been using anything other than cannabis and mushrooms, so the natural stuff. And I have been talked to as if I'm an abuser, while the person saying it is high from prescribed drugs, synthetic medicine, like 𝗬𝗲 or a whole bunch of antidepressants, or freaking so many things. Words that I couldn't even explain or pronounce. So a lot happened down at the neighbor. And long story short, because of an assumed narrative that he tried to control, there were a few outbursts. So I had to wrestle him one night, and that night my kids were home, and this whole thing led to a very interesting new way of living at this property. And this event shook me, so I had to figure out how to respond to it. I updated the closest people that I could, because I figured in a village, if someone does something bad, everyone should know about it in case it escalates to be worse than what it already is. And because the kids were involved, it makes sense. So we were supposed to have briefings. People had time for a fragment of the story and acted from that point. A few months went by. It just got worse with a neighbor. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. And it started to really feel noisy living here. And nobody talked to me. This is a very key thing that you need to keep through this whole thing. We're not talked for 30 minutes and that thing will be through all of it. Not talk to me. Christmas Eve comes and someone stands up and proudly announced that they had fixed the problem. The fact that my kids were affected and this person had paid. I was like, what are you talking about? Can you explain, please? Well, he had been told XYZ. And then it all made sense. Now it made sense. Some people had intervened and nobody had told the actual people who lived on the property about this and had waited for so long that it had already escalated to a point where it was fucking intense. But it made sense, and I cut some ties because of that, and my kids were very much in agreement and alignment with how I thought, how I acted, what I did. Because they were part of the situation that people assumed they knew everything about. And that night was, I have probably a few fragments of the videos where I tried to kind of process what happened, because it was a lot. But then March come along, the 3rd of the 3rd, which has been known in my storybooks as the turd of the turd because of 25, which included a haunted Boy Scout cabin and DMT, and a few health workers and a witch. Long story short. But 26, I pick up my phone when I hear a window break downstairs. And I go out to the window and I start to ask, like, did you just break a window? And he started to shout, "Get down here if you're gonna accuse me of anything," you know. I was like, dude, I just heard you break a window. Did you break a window? What are you doing? Why are you here? She's not home. My landlord has vacated the area. She's out. It escalated. He wanted to talk. This has been, months of built-up resentment where we have had communication over text, where I have had no desire to talk to the one person I wanted to kill for what he did to my kids. Because it's been basically trauma treatment since that day. We've had to work on a lot after that shit. And he forgot it in his haze. So that also is something that really got me triggered, because he just forgot that we fought, that my kids were scared to death. I have all this on tape. This is also a pattern that keeps on repeating itself. But 3rd of the 3rd, he had other plans. So he came up to my front door, and on the video, I go from the living room window into the office to get a smoke. And then I go back into the hallway, and you can see him trying to break in, standing outside with a fucking Mexican. This is not to be offensive. It's just what I thought, okay? This is my mind in chaos. He looked like a Mexican Captain America, because he had the lid of a grill, and he was kind of pounding that on the door. And I can't believe how his thumb survived that, actually. But his body is a medical miracle, because he has been forced to figure it out himself, because no system has been there to help him, because they kind of labeled him as non-fixable and all that stuff. This is a long story, and people would be some people would attack me for saying that I understand why he is how he is. Because I talked to him through long conversations where I introduced myself to a person that I've known for most of my life and who is now my neighbor. I think it pays off to be close to the people who you have very close to you, unless people intervene and make that whole relationship chaotic. So basically, he had talked to me, and then he went into a whole rant, and it was basically showing the whole truth of where he came from. When you purge, you just say the things that is actually the case. So I wrote a message saying that what I expected, what I've understood, that all I see now is for me to keep my peace this evening, I will block you. What I expect from you from this is basically to look me in the eye and say, you're sorry. Apology. You know, if you can apologize for what you've done, then maybe we can have a conversation after that. But then he comes up and he breaks the window. And there's a whole thing about death threats, and he tries to come in to kind of finish it off, basically. And throughout the week, this person has been in situations that has been in the news repeatedly, where the news shared my house, which was, again, a thing that I had to adapt to. When people start to ask questions and come at me in the DMs because they saw something in the news that was horrific, blah, 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 but it was a fraction of the fucking story and based on a police log. So I contacted the news, or the newspaper, and they removed it, but people were like acting weirdly around the whole thing because nobody knew the whole story, because nobody asked about the whole story. And I was not the person who was just going to go out there and tell everyone who asked, because when you repeat the same thing, when you're trying to process yourself, and the people closest to you who are supposed to understand that this is actually quite taxing, should understand that when you go silent like that, like what has happened over the last few months, there is a reason for it. And maybe criticism or assumptions or all that stuff is not the best way to deal with it. Basically, I've said that word a lot. I don't know why, but during this stone that missed me it missed me. I can't understand how it missed me, because on the video you can see it coming through, and I was standing straight in front of the door, and where it hit the floor, it made a mark, and then it bounced back into the wall, making a hole. I don't understand how that didn't hit my toes or something, or leg, or whatever. But the stone comes through the wall, and I get a little bit like, whew. I film him, and he comes through the window like fucking Johnny in The Shining. Here's Johnny. And there's glass everywhere. And I'm like, you know, I'm calm. I'm extremely calm. That worried me. People saw the video and like, oh, this could go viral, blah, 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 blah. They came from all different perspectives, but nobody really saw this fucking situation. I was trying to say, this is what is happening, and this is why I can't talk to you. And people were like, you motherfucker, walking around having friends and shit. Brings me back to now. I was quite happy being isolated. And I had Vanderkar, that whole project. Everything started to not go as planned. We had issues with the car. The owner of the car picked it up after we had fixed it, tried to do everything. That's also a bill that was 20,000 crowns added to a lot. The bills has just been coming up. The bills, all the bills. And then I have to try to figure out, what do you do with all that when you don't have a system nor a job with mainstream life, and you are creating everything yourself, and you have been forced to do so for quite some years now after the fire and the whole millions and the debts and all that stuff. People get peeved when they don't see the whole picture, it seems. And here I am, now in a place where all of this has led to somewhere. You know, throughout all this, it's not all doom and gloom. I was actually performing and warming up for Norway's oldest country band just in November. Yes. And we are also having a concert in August, the third week of August. We've become artists now. 𝗬𝗵𝗶 music. Number 7 on the Spotify playlist. One of the artists is in Norway. So many things are happening at the same time, while I'm just trying to fucking live. Survive in it all. Let's go back to the Spanish Mafia, shall we? Because I know I'm all over the place. But that's because this story is bigger than you realize. And it's not easy to say this, because it's the first time I've ever said it, to actually try to get some clarity to the whole thing. The person got in, then suspected to be chased by the Spanish Mafia. We had a very nice, calm evening, and we talked, and we got to know each other a little bit. We have known each other for many years, like we're from the same village, so, and we're neighbors. both of us are influencers or doing stuff online, so we knew very much about each other's lives. And we talked and we went on hikes. I got out into nature. I started to actually be able to breathe, and I started to get more into shape, ate better. And because she was kind of betrothed, she had a dude. And I also had a few things from my previous relationship that wasn't finalized. It was finalized, but it wasn't like where you can just say, hey, I have decided to find myself a woman type. As I see that many people do. I had decided to be alone. I had decided to be celibate. I had decided to be isolated. And it was like that for a long time. And we got to know each other. And given the fact that I was a single person with all my own experience and abilities and freedom to do whatever the fuck I wanted to do. This is where, like, I'm trying to understand the logic. Once upon, like, during this, my phone was broken into. Let's just say it like that. That is the best way I could say it. My phone was broken into while I was sleeping. Basically, that triggered a reaction based on a picture. And it was said later that it wasn't like you were doing anything wrong, but it, like, the reaction and all that stuff kind of made that very, very, very different in terms of how it felt. A long time went in silence, so I know how it feels to be all of a sudden just abandoned. But this was different, and for me, it was like the drop. Because in that case, like, we're two people who had been trying to figure out how to be single for a long time and figured out that that was the best outcome for everyone. Said so repeatedly. It's still kind of mind-boggling to me. But the thing is, after that day, I was without any entanglements. I was a completely free figure. And I was still talking to the person who came here on the Spanish Mafia night. She came back and we did activities together. We didn't do anything sexual. We didn't do anything in terms of romance, no kiss, nothing. We're actually agreements in place to not do so, to not get mixed up. Because there were so many people who would be reacting if we did, you know? That's the thing that really bugs me. Because of the things that happened. That was based on the belief that there were something between me and this person. It's still mind-boggling, and this is why I haven't talked about it. Me and her were kind of center in a storm. Because now the rumors were going around. And they were shared from one point to the next. Until they came back to her, and then back to me. And the red thread was kind of very visible. Because nobody had any such idea that me and her did anything. Because we talked behind closed doors. You know, nobody had any... There were no radar pings. I don't know how to say this. It's just so... How it manifested itself is beyond how I can understand. But it did happen. Through that whole thing, truths came up on all levels, and one has to adapt, one has to respond, right? So she was faced with the same thing that I was. All of a sudden, people came from a completely different way or perspective or angle than before. They started to attack her or criticize her or assume things that she knew was not reality. And so boundaries were set. And long story short, the dude that she was with when I started to talk to her, when I saved when I was doing my function, this death's waiting room is a sanctuary. She came in because she needed safe haven. It was literally because her car was tracked. It just turned out that it wasn't the thing that we thought it was. It was worse. So it was for professional purposes again. And if there's one thing I know, I'm very good at keeping my discipline, keeping my boundaries, and not be, sexual. People have been assuming that I'm sexual with everyone, that I'm having orgies all over the place because I'm talking about it sometimes. I don't know where that came from. Today I was just accused of having legacy orgy. But there is actually an item in the marketplace that is called orgy. It's 3 crowns. 3 cents. Or 30 cents? Not sure. Because I like to make a spectacle when I test things. And I need to see if forge marks worked with that type. And if I could sell anything or do anything, then why not put on something that you would never find in a normal e-commerce situation? But that's a whole different tangent that has nothing to do with the case I was making right now. Me and her, we developed a good friendship, and we were very aligned on many different values, and we saw things very similar. And she has a story, I have a story. We respected each other's story while also not really understanding each other's story, because we got to know each other from the present, and has been minute by minute since. I'm still not at a place where I say that I have a girlfriend. I was looking for something different. And that has I have found myself now in a place where I don't know what the fuck is going on in my love life. And I would love to be able to just say everything that I want to say about that aspect of my life. But first of all, people don't have any business knowing about it. Second of all, I have had to redefine love 4 times at least for the last 6 years, 10 years actually. In 2016, I redefined love for the first time, and then it has just... Actually, no. The more I think about it, I had to redefine love a lot of times. And I had to see things from many different perspectives, and then the whole psychedelic aspect of it all, it changed everything. And I see things very different compared to what other people do. And now, I've seen that that's the gap. Like, if people don't have experience with the psychedelics, there's a whole different way of seeing the world that makes it impossible to communicate on certain things that one might think is basic, the other part might think is crucial. Or, the miscommunication, the different dimensions to talk through. It's impossible. And unfortunately, I have had quite deep psychedelic experiences because I had very deep health issues that has now been resolved, partly or mostly maybe because of that. I'm not ashamed of saying that I found a lot of help and benefits through my psychedelic experience, but people think that I do that every day because I talk about psychedelics. Like, their view is about good people, drug abusers. The good people drink alcohol, by the way, and they are looking down at the people who are doing mushrooms or smoking cannabis, medicinally or just because it makes sense. I have so many aspects to my fucking life. I made things during all this. I was silent for a reason. But while I'm doing this, I'm putting together a phygital, multidimensionally connected operating system consisting of a god-slave wizard and his team. I built a Spotify player because Spotify was fucking up, and I had it installed on the pass that is both NFC, like tapping optimized, geolocated, with QR codes scattered around the world that connects to actual locks in reality, like an inverted escape room. Who would have thought? And in that, there is also the framework, the methodology, the system of personal and just holistic transformation that I learned along my path. Like, it's all been laid out inside of a game, a legacy adventure game. All while everything that I have talked about so far has been happening. This has only been spanning since November-ish. And now the Wounded Prince, as I mentioned, has made some actions, made some decisions that has me want to confront this injustice. But then I don't know which one to tackle first, because there are so many. And I'm so sick of being alone in it. That's also been a case, like, lately I've been really realizing how alone I was in what I was trying to do to survive. Made songs about this. They have fallen into taste in a way that I never expected. I've tapped into things that I didn't think was possible. And every day it just goes more and more and more and more towards that destination, or whatever, the next phase. For me now, it seems like the sun is finally rising. I've been trying to just do what I could with what I had for so long, and I'm done. For those people who felt like they were abandoned through all this, understand that that is not how we have been seeing the same movie, but we have different experiences of it. Because for me, nothing changed. And I suspect maybe that's the problem for you as well. If you're still in the same environment that was the issue when you started, maybe that is the problem. But I also understand that everything is complicated. I see potential everywhere. And I've come to realize that I shouldn't, because of many different things, or communication not landing, or whatever it is, or people disengaging and pulling out. Like, that's also a thing. I am asked to rely on people. After having relied on people and done exactly that, to see that it builds up their success because I am co-creating something with them, only to see that they just fucking say, no, fuck, it's rooted in energy. I'm going to focus on myself. I can't be aligned with Legacy Forge anymore. Bye. Fuck off. That's where I have to really just say that there's a boundary now. The LegacyForge.net, everything should happen through there, because my wizard can actually help me live a life while also helping those people coming to me for help. And sometimes people come to me just because they think that I can get them dimethyltryptamine. And I can, probably. Like, everyone could. Like DMT and changa and psychedelics and all these things. It's fucking everywhere. The politicians are using it. I know, because some of them are very connected. There are so many things happening in society right now that people should probably be aware of. And I'm prepared to start talking more about that. Today I'm going to try to actually do my job and record a video that goes through 14 questions regarding ego death, and then send that into a young aspiring documentarist who are creating a documentary on psychedelics. And because I've been doing this for so fucking long now, one Google search puts me into the bracket of people who clearly have something to say about this subject. So I'm going to use this now to forge everything that has been built in the dark. And if you want to see anything of this, there is actually already rooms set up for the whole story and different other stories and topics and all the stuff at the LegacyForge.net. Everything is just explained there, so I don't want to be explaining why people should be checking out that platform. Because the people that are criticizing me have no fucking idea what's going on inside the platform. It's like, I'm working every day in there, doing things every day. I've been doing this for many years. Different Discord presences and different YouTube videos and different things, and then building up this whole thing, being in there all the time, and then people coming in, walking into my living room, starting to toss shit because they forgot how to use the door, or that they were actually inside of something that has been shown in a different way than most people find it. That's also a problem. I have to stop giving people access so fast. That's why I have a gate now. I'm gonna have to just create that world as I see fit, because that's the only way I can survive in this world. And when you have the opportunity to create anything that you need, why the fuck shouldn't you? I've been feeling low today because that message kind of broke me. And if you're watching this, I haven't responded because I will be finishing my thing that has been present since before we met first. My precious legacy forge is actually what saved my life, as I suspect many other people can say as well. That is, if they don't just say stuff that they don't actually experience. I like authentic people. This was a long video. It wasn't meant to be this long, but I needed to say something, and I guess I'm gonna have to announce that I have found a raven soon. But you're gonna show, I'm gonna show something now at the end, the ass end of this video. You're gonna see something that many people have not. Yes. We went for a long time without kissing. When we kissed, that was it. So I'm gonna have to introduce her. I'm gonna have to bring her in. I'm gonna have to show her to the world, because it seems like the longer that secret is kept secret, more chaos is gonna ensue. So if people with husbands and families can't deal with that, I don't know how to fix it, because there are many relationships that I wish I could have taken more time with, to sit there and talk like we did before for 2 or 3 hours. But it's been hard to communicate anything. Anything. It's not just you, it's everyone. I've had contact with one person last few months because I couldn't step up all the fucking time when people expected me to just fix their problems. Which is probably not even the case for most of the time. It's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward. I have an inverted escape room to blind the windows of and then see what the fuck can be done with that, because despite what people might think, I've been really good at living with nothing in terms of money. Yesterday, I ran out of tokens. I've been spending a lot of my money has gone into API tokens and development and some food sometimes. Barely been able to make rent because I didn't want to make more work while I was developing and finalizing the thing that was supposed to make that system work, you know. Because anyone can have something to sell, but if you don't have the system to support it, it's going to be hard. And I have learned that the hard way. That's why I had to kind of step out. I actually started a whole new Discord server, which is unheard of given the thousands of hours I spent in the other one. But to see if I was able to bring things together in a way that actually didn't drain me and could be of value and could add some excitement into the worlds of others and just enjoy life a little bit. I have a lot on my mind. Luckily, my soul piece has been asking me to tell more about the things that is on my mind. She's going to be helping me with the camera. That's going to change a few things, because it's been hard to talk about anything or talk to anyone. Especially within the things I'm doing. God damn it. Do you know? No, I'm not going to go there. If you are interested in AI and you're thinking about the things that I'm thinking about, teaching something to learn and remember and all that stuff, please reach out. Because I have not yet found anyone who's actually into AI development. I'm not talking about the chatbot. I'm not talking about GPT, Gemini. I'm not talking about the agentic thing. I'm talking about a fully functional system, local or remote, or a hybrid of them. Blockchain connected. Do you have something that is doing something that most people can't understand? If so, I want to talk to you, because I am so sick of not being able to talk about the things that is currently fucking my mind. Fable 5. Have a fantastic day.